You know that voice, right? When we think of Winston Churchill, we hear that gravelly, defiant voice that somehow rallied a nation during its darkest hour. But what if I told you that voice wasn't just a voice? It was a weapon. A weapon he carefully built and aimed with deadly precision. Okay, let's get into it. And you know, JFK absolutely nailed it. Churchill didn't just give speeches, he literally mobilized the English language. He turned simple phrases into battalions, sentences into artillery. He knew better than anyone that in a war for survival, words could be just as powerful as warships. So the big question is, how did he do it? Was he just born a great speaker? The answer is not even close. His skill wasn't a gift. It was something he forged himself, piece by painstaking piece, through sheer hard work and an obsession with the power of rhetoric. To really understand the weapon, we have to go back to the workshop. We've got to look at his early life, where a young Churchill, a soldier, and a journalist started to consciously craft what would become his greatest asset. Okay, so this timeline here, it's not just a list of dates. It's a blueprint for obsession. Think about it. In Cuba, he finds his hero, this American orator Brooke Cochran, and decides that's what I want to do. Then, stuck in India, he basically creates his own personal university, just devouring the great thinkers and historians. And then, and this is the key part, at only 23 years old, he writes an entire essay breaking down the mechanics of a great speech. This wasn't a hobby, it was a mission. And here's the real kicker. The most surprising part of this whole story, Winston Churchill, the man who would become one of the greatest orators in history, had a speech impediment. He had a lisp. He struggled to say the letter S. He had to practice sentences over and over just to get them right. The man whose voice would unite a country first had to conquer his own. So, after all that study, all that practice, what did he have to show for it? Well, he had assembled a powerful rhetorical toolkit. You can think of it like his personal arsenal with a different weapon for every situation. Let's pull out a few of his go-to devices. First up, a device called anaphora. This one is all about building rhythm and momentum. You just repeat the same phrase at the start of a series of sentences, and it creates this powerful, rolling wave of emotion that just hammers the point home. And this is the classic example. Just listen to it. We shall fight, we shall fight, we shall fight. It's like a drum beat, isn't it? It's relentless. He's not just listing places. He's building this unbreakable wall of resolve, and every repetition just adds another layer of steel. Okay, next tool in the box, antithesis. This is a bit of genius, really. It's all about creating a spark by smashing two opposite ideas together. The contrast makes the point incredibly sharp, super memorable, and, as Churchill often used it, pretty darn witty. I mean, listen to how he just shreds his opponent's indecision here. Every single pair is a contradiction, resolved to be irresolute, solid for fluidity. It's just a brilliant, devastating way to paint a picture of utter incompetence. It's sharp, it's brutal, and you're not going to forget it. And here's a really clever one he loved. Hypophora. This is a classic speaker's trick. You ask a question that you know is on everybody's mind, and then you immediately answer it yourself. It lets you control the conversation completely, cutting off any doubt before it can even start. See how he does that? He knows the two questions everyone is asking. What's the plan? What's the goal? And he just lays out these short, blunt, powerful answers. There's zero room for doubt. He grabs the narrative and leaves his audience with this feeling of absolute, unwavering purpose. All right, so he's got all these individual tools. But the real magic, the real genius of Churchill was how he combined them. He would layer these devices together to create speeches that didn't just convince people, they literally made history. Let's talk about metaphor for a second. After World War II, the world was a confusing place. This new division in Europe was, well, it was a complicated idea. Churchill needed a way to make it simple, to make it real for people. And boom, there it is, an Iron Curtain. Just 3 words, but that one single metaphor was so vivid, so powerful, it instantly defined the entire Cold War era. It took this complex political situation and gave it a name, a shape, a feeling. That phrase entered the global language, and it's still there today. That's power. And the thing is, he never just used one trick at a time. He was a master craftsman, layering everything together. He'd use a tricolon, the power of 3s, for a nice, satisfying rhythm. He'd throw in alliteration, repeating sounds to make a phrase more cutting. And then he'd use something like epizeuxis, just raw repetition, to show pure, unbreakable will. It was a symphony of sound, rhythm, and meaning, all at once. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It shows us that Churchill's greatest weapon wasn't a tank or a plane. It was his command of the English language, which he used to win battles in the hearts and minds of millions. And this, for me, is the most incredible part. He knew it from the very beginning. He wrote this when he was just a 23-year-old kid in India. He understood, even back then, that the ability to command language was a power all its own, a power that could outlast kings and empires. This wasn't just a skill for him, it was his core belief. So if there's one thing to remember, it's this. Churchill the orator wasn't born, he was built. He was the product of thousands upon thousands of hours of reading, writing, and practicing. His famous eloquence wasn't magic. It was a craft, honed over a lifetime into a weapon that could, quite literally, mobilize a language and send it into battle. And all this kind of leaves us with one last question, doesn't it? In our world of 280-character tweets and 15-second videos, have we lost this art? Or do words, when they're chosen carefully and delivered with conviction, still hold that same world-shaping power?